Hi everyone, welcome to the second episode of Yes Mantri Ji, a new show on the print where we discuss the bureaucracy, its politics, and everything else civil service. Over the last few weeks, demands for a compensatory attempt for the UPSC exam by those who have either exhausted the number of attempts they had or have reached the maximum age of eligibility to appear for the exam have really intensified in Delhi and other parts of the country. The basic premise of these protests is that 2021 was an extremely difficult and extremely unpredictable year because of the pandemic, and a lot of candidates could not do well in the exam or could not even take the exam. And hence, on humanitarian grounds, these candidates are asking the government for an additional attempt. The government, on its part, seems somewhat hesitant as of now to give in to these demands. But I want to look at these ongoing protests as a window to understand the politics around the UPSC attempts and age relaxations. Now, the UPSC exam, as most of us already know, is an extremely competitive and a highly prestigious exam in India. It's sort of, the bureaucracy, the civil services represent aspiration for a lot of Indians. It's considered a merit-based route to empowerment, to power. You don't need money for it. You don't need political connections to become an IAS officer. So it represents aspiration in some sense, and therefore lakhs and lakhs of candidates appear for this exam every year. The government, on its part, has to somehow limit the number of people who keep taking the exam again and again, and so it sets a limit on the number of attempts one can have to appear for the exam, and also the age limit after which you cannot take the exam. So as of now, for the general category, the number of attempts allowed are 6, and the age of eligibility is 32. For scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, the age of eligibility is 37, and until you were 37 years of age, you can take the exam as many times as you want. So there is no limit on the number of attempts. For OBCs, the maximum age of eligibility is 35, and the number of attempts allowed are 9. So what this basically means is that theoretically it's possible that if you're an SC/ST, you can sort of join the service at the age of 37, complete your training and so on, and actually become an officer at the age of 38. And by the time you become a DM, you could very well be 40 years or above. So that's a possibility given the criteria right now. But this has not always been the case. If you go back to the 1960s, for example, the age of eligibility for the general category used to be just 24. For SCs and STs, the age of eligibility was 29. And the average age at which one became an IAS officer was actually 23. So if you see now what was 24, the age of eligibility for the general category, it has now become 37. So it's a gap of 8 years. So over the years, basically, government after government has kind of toyed with this idea of increasing the age of eligibility, increasing the number of attempts. And that's because this constituency of aspirants has also constantly expanded over the years, and every government has wanted to keep this constituency in good humor. It always becomes a political issue when there is a civil service reform. So every government has tried to keep them in good humor, and out of political fear, no government has talked really seriously about actually reducing the age and reducing the number of attempts for the civil service exam. But while governments fear a political cost, several committees constituted by different governments have in fact been of the exact opposite view. They have said that the age should be reduced, and it is imprudent to have so many attempts and so many age relaxations for what is ultimately one exam. Most recently, the Niti Aayog in 2018 recommended that the age of eligibility for the general category should be reduced to 27. Before that, the Baswan committee constituted by this government in 2016 had recommended that the age should be reduced to 26. And before that, in 2008, under the UPA 2 government, the Administrative Reforms Committee also recommended that the age should be reduced. But no government has really acted on these recommendations, as I said, out of political fear. But let me quickly flag some of the reasons that have been given by these committees and by these commissions to reduce the age and to reduce the number of attempts. One, I think the most important sociological reason that these commissions have flagged is that constantly giving more age relaxations and attempt relaxations leads to a near complete erasure of people from SC, ST, or OBC category at the topmost level of the bureaucracy. Now, if you see in 2019, according to government data, there were just 4 out of 82 secretaries in the government of India who belonged to either the SC or the ST community. 4 out of 82. You add joint secretaries and additional secretaries to this number. Even then, only 9% of all the officers belonging to these 3 positions were from SC/ST communities, and their representation ought to be in the government 22%, and in actuality at these levels it is 9%. Now, why does that happen? It happens because while we have a differential policy for different categories at the time of recruitment, we have a uniform policy at the time of retirement. So that age is 60. Everyone, no matter what age they enter the service, have to retire at the age of 60. So it is theoretically possible that a general category person enters the service at the age of 23 and retires at the age of 60, thereby having a service tenure of 37 years. And it's possible that a scheduled caste person enters the service at the age of 37 and has to still retire at the age of 60 years of age and is left with a service tenure of 23 years. So what happens then is that before they can even reach these senior positions, people from several of these categories end up retiring. So what I'm trying to say is that there is a kind of hierarchy of opportunity that is inbuilt into the system depending on what age you were entering at. And just to corroborate this point, let's quickly look at some of the topmost officers who are presently serving in the government of India, and let's see at what age they had entered the IAS or their other services. Cabinet Secretary Mr. Rajiv Gauba entered IAS at the age of 23. The Home Secretary Mr. A.K. Bhalla entered service at the age of 24. Foreign Secretary Mr. Harshvardhan Shringla entered service at the age of 22. Finance Secretary Mr. T.V. Somanathan again entered service at the age of 22. Defense Secretary Mr. Ajay Kumar entered service at the age of 23. So what I'm trying to say is that all these officers, the topmost officers serving in the government today, entered the service at the age of 22, 23, 24, giving them ample time to actually rise up to the topmost, sort of senior-most echelons of the bureaucracy. And to understand more about this issue, I spoke to Professor Dilip Mandal, whose work on diversity all of us are familiar with, and he said two things which I'd like to flag very quickly. He said that at this point there is really no dearth of young SC/ST graduates, SC/ST or OBC graduates, who are 21, 22, 23 years of age. Then what is the point really of giving them more age relaxations and ultimately reducing representation in the senior bureaucracy rather than expanding it? And the other thing he said was that the economically weaker section category, the EWS category, which was carved out in 2019, does not have any of these additional sort of relaxations of attempts or age. So if deprivation is indeed the reason to kind of give these extra relaxations, then why have they not been extended to the EWS? This is of course about caste, but there are other reasons as to why different commissions, different committees have asked for a reduction in age limit. One is that it leads to a lot of non-serious candidates constantly appearing and reappearing for the exam because they simply can. This is an issue, in fact, that the UPSC has flagged several times. Two, it leads to a proliferation of coaching centers which make huge amounts of money, basically exploiting this big civil service dream that Indians have. Three, it's a massive drain on human resources. When you have young people of the age of in their 20s or in their 30s spending 10, 12 or more years preparing for an exam that they don't end up cracking, then that's a massive drain on human resources. And fourth, it leads to a big crisis of mental health. Again, as I said, if you've spent 10, 12 or more years preparing for an exam that you ultimately don't crack, it obviously takes a toll on your self-esteem. It takes a toll on the career prospects that you have after that. And one needs to just sort of, Google up UPSC aspirant suicide to understand the gravity of the situation. Having said all of this, I have to say that there are justified arguments on the other side as well. It is needless to say that there is inequality to resources, to education, to digital resources, to coaching centers and so on. Basically to say that we don't have a level playing field on which people actually prepare for this exam. But this does not take away from the fact that there are more fundamental reforms needed in the civil service recruitment, rather than just sort of endlessly giving one more attempt and some more age relaxations in order to, hoping that it would be a panacea for the diversity deficit in India's civil services. Thank you so much for watching Yes Mantri Ji. We will be back with another episode. And until then, do subscribe to the Print YouTube channel.